Hello everyone, this is Terry and this is Alison. We are the Sky Whisperers and we are here for February 2026 astrology, which is a busy month and it's quite with the shifts, important events going on. So, Alison, what are the highlights of the month so that we can go into the details from there?
Yeah, so the highlights, absolutely. So we're opening the month with straight away with a full moon on the 1st of February. That's a full moon in Leo. And that's going to be sort of quite big and exciting. We'll come back to that. And then as we sort of trek through the month, we get to the 14th. So on Valentine's Day, we've got Saturn going into Aries, so that's the beginning really of this Saturn-Neptune conjunction when they're both together in the same sign. And then on the 17th, it's kind of bang, bang, bang in the middle of the month. On the 17th, we've got a new moon, but this is an eclipse. So by now we're into eclipse season. This is the first of the two eclipses of this part of the year, and that's at 28 Aquarius. The day after, the sun's moving into Pisces, and then on the 20th, we have this big conjunction, the one that everyone's been talking about, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, that the like of which we haven't seen since, I don't know, I think it's something like 4000 BCE or something like
Yeah,
that.
4,360. 60, that is
Okay,
by the astrosic. I wrote it down. Oh my God, it's like
okay.
6,000
Yeah,
years ago. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So we've obviously had Saturn Neptune conjunctions, but at this key 0 point of Aries, this new beginning point, this is the first time for that many years, anyway. Um, and then at the end of the month, just to kind of round it all off, we've got Mercury turning retrograde on the 26th, sort of going back to review everything and think it all through. And yeah, that's plenty to talk about. So, shall we kick off with the new moon, Terry? I will share the screen
Okay, I will see if I
if
have.
I can.
Okay, you can. Okay.
Yeah, hang on, if I can. Let
Yeah,
me,
you should
let
be.
me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so here we
Okay.
are. And this is the full moon in Leo there with 13 Leo, and across the sky, we've got the sun at 13 degrees of Aquarius.
Yeah.
So, Leo is all about self-expression, all about standing up and being on stage and saying, "Hey, this is me." It wants recognition. Leo can be fragile sometimes, but it's a fire sign, so usually sort of joyful and yeah, just big-hearted, brave actually as well. And I think there's been a lot of bravery in the streets all over the world at the moment. So looks like this is going to continue. This might be the culmination of something with Aquarius being very much about the group. How are you seeing that, Terry?
I mean, it's like, yeah, that's true. I mean, like that, but there is also still with Leo, I think there is this kind of more like individualistic thing going on because it's like you want to shine but it's for yourself, but on the other hand there is this Aquarius that is like saying, yeah, there is the society, where do we stand then? So
Yeah.
I think that's in a way, if you have any creativity and authenticity and everything that is coming
Hmm.
through the that feeling of creation, etc., coming through that Leo, I mean, it's like sometimes you are working for yourself, but what
Hmm.
about the others? And then that's, I think, Sun in Aquarius is like reminding us, okay, but you can share it with the other people as well, and
Hmm.
you can you shine, but that the light should go for everyone, no, like let's not waste it for only one person in a way. So I think in the end that's the trying to make that meeting the ends in a way. I mean, like it's like
Hmm.
I come to you, I'm not that self-centered and I'm not that society-centered, and we come to a point that all that creativity or different interesting ideas that are coming from both sides can come together and maybe make
Hmm.
something more productive at the end of the day. I think that could be about this full moon as well. I mean, like it's like I think
It
so. I don't know.
It's the
It's
axis of identity, isn't it, Leo Aquarius? It's who am I, as you were saying, who am I? Where is my creativity? What am I creating, and how do I bring that into the group? How does that serve the wider society, if you like, but still, that wanting that recognition. And it's a culmination, the full moon always. And with a culmination, there's usually the shedding of something, and then as the moon moves on through the chart, um, that kind of culmination and that creativity there's a dissemination as it moves on to renew, and it's going to renew in Aquarius. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. I mean, I think for that, maybe we should go back to August 2024, and when
Okay.
the new moon happened in Leo,
Right.
actually, I mean, around this degree, 12 degrees, etc. So we can think about that period, like August 2024. What was I doing? Were
Mm,
I planting new seeds? And then that's the culmination point of that period in a way, I think, in lunar gestation cycle. So I think we can take ourselves back to that period and think about it. What were we doing in a certain area of life?
yeah.
If there were any new beginnings, fresh starts, etc. And that's the point that we come to the top, and then trying to review in a way, what did we do so far, and
Mm.
what how are we going to continue the rest of that
Rest of that
I mean
story. Yeah, journey.
journey in a
Mm.
way. So I think it's good to review that as well. So and see what we can continue.
And these are fixed signs as well, so there's a fixity to them, as kind of a determination, really, I think, with these signs too, with fixed signs that you get. And I wanted to say something else here, and I can't remember what it was, so we might just have to. But yeah, it was just really that if you do have planets or angles around 13 degrees of the fixed signs, that's Leo, Aquarius, and of course Scorpio and Taurus, you might really be tuned into this full moon. So that's worth looking at too. Where does it fall in your chart?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And
So
then we move on, don't we? I think to the
yes,
next kind of big event, which happens on the 4th of February.
yeah,
Uh,
Uranus stationing direct.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful. Also 27, 27. It's like, yeah, repeating. It's like a double thing. And yeah,
Yes.
stationing direct. It's like, yeah, that I think it's like wrapping up all these last degrees, etc. It's like, that I think it's time to just finishing that period, whatever area of life is affecting, and then make these last arrangements until Uranus goes into Gemini, and that's it. I think still, I mean, if you have, of course, in the last degrees of fixed signs, that
Hmm.
will continue affecting. But since there is this direct retrograde, I mean, retrograde, that kind of feeling, it won't be like bang, like in the first time. It's like more like,
No, that's
yeah,
true.
it
Yeah.
happened, reviewed. Now
Yeah.
you go
Yeah.
forward, and then it will be just like you just going to wrap your head around and move forward, I think.
And of course, it's important though. I mean, Uranus has an 82-year orbit, so it won't be back in Taurus for 75 years. I'm not going to be around then, that's for sure.
Yeah, me neither,
And so,
probably.
Terry not either, apparently. So, so it's very much this that wrapping up these last degrees. And Taurus is always about land and about security. It's about our bodies too. It's about our resources and our planet and all those kinds of very solid, tangible things that we've been experiencing. Food security has been a theme, and that Uranus has been disrupting. And it's now grinding through those last degrees, just as Saturn and Neptune were doing, or still are doing, in fact, as we record this in Pisces, and then finally moving into Aries, and Uranus is doing the same thing. So there's an intensity to these last degrees, an intensity around those Taurus themes then, body, security, resources, money. It's about money too. So interesting, I think these last few weeks will be. It doesn't move into Gemini, by the way, until April. So
April.
so that's a little bit of an ongoing process there. It's sort
Yeah,
of it has work still to do. It's sort of
yeah,
cleaning up a bit there.
yeah,
And anyway, if you do have planets or anything there at that 27 degrees, the turning direct is like a sort of pushing down on that planet, so it accentuates it. So it's, it could you could really feel that actually. Okay.
after
And
that we go. Mercury.
Mercury. Yep. So Mercury, we're just watching that down here. And our trickster god is moving into Pisces actually moving in on the 6th, but that
Yeah,
would be in the evening. So I'll just move forward a couple of hours so we can see that. So Mercury is leading the way into Pisces from that whole Aquarius stellium there, and
yeah,
that's us, excuse me, just leaving that Aquarius stellium behind now, and everything, the whole train of planets is just processing into Pisces.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, like it's Mercury, of course, in Pisces. I mean, since Mercury in Virgo, the ruler and exalted, Mercury in Pisces wouldn't it, it's thought that it's not the best place. It's in detriment. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, there can be quite, I mean, creative ideas that is coming out
Mm.
from this period. I think it's like very, I find poetic, especially when comes with Venus together. I think it
Hmm.
could be quite. I feel like all the this artist that is like that there is something that is not
Hmm.
quite in order, but at the same time that I think that not having these strings that stop you, I think is very important. I think in writing, in maybe making a painting or anything. So in that sense, I think it can be sometimes maybe the ideas could be all over the place, but at the end of the day, there can be something beautiful coming out of that as well with Mercury in Pisces and Venus in Pisces, I think. Together.
Yeah, and it's weird with Mercury in Pisces as well because sometimes you see it with people that are really good. I mean, there's nothing linear about Mercury in Pisces, is there? It's like sort of expressing yourself through, I don't know, transformative dance or something like that. It's like a meditation vibe or something. But
Hmm.
yet sometimes it can just be really fruitful, and sometimes it just can be a little bit incoherent as well. You can't quite get to what you're saying, or it's just mute sometimes in Pisces too, and expresses itself differently. Sometimes people with this placement aren't actually very chatty. They don't talk a lot. But I've also seen it with people who grasp a sort of intangible thing on the internet or through coding or through some kind of computing, which is interesting because it's not the kind of thing you'd associate with Mercury, with Pisces in general, but it's almost like just a grasping of something that's not there, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's an interesting placement actually.
yeah,
Um, but the detriment because the thinking's perhaps not so linear, perhaps.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and then you were saying actually Venus follows just a couple of days later. So,
Yeah, on the 10th.
yep. Yeah, so I don't know what hour. I'll just move that forward a little bit and then we'll see Venus. Oop, must be quite late at night. Sorry.
Venus in 10
Uh,
in the morning, I believe.
oh, 10 in
Yeah,
the morning. Sorry, I
yeah,
will I will just change
should be
that then.
11 your time.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. She's still not there, but she will be in a minute. There she is in Pisces.
Yeah,
Well,
she's,
Venus is very happy in Pisces, of course, isn't she? In her
of course,
exaltation.
patient. Yes, exactly. That's, yeah,
Compassionate. Venus about our values and resources does suggest compassion here. And love, really, I think Venus in Pisces, a sort of universal love for everything, a kind of impersonal love
yeah,
almost.
like
time.
encapsulating everything in the universe. I mean, like, no, it's
Yeah.
like getting everything. Like, I can share my love with everyone as well. I mean, it's like it's not like only for me, but for everyone. So why not? Sharing is caring. Maybe that is for displacement. I mean, in a way.
Often people that aren't particularly materialistic, I think Venus in Pisces, it's Pisces not being a materialistic sign, and Venus is very much about how we, you know, what how we consider our resources and our values. It's
Yeah,
much more about, you know, buying those lilacs for the soul or whatever they are, rather than going down
yeah,
and buying a
yeah,
loaf of bread or something. So.
yeah,
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 it's a really lovely placement. So quite nice to see that there actually. I think we might need that as we go
yeah,
through the
exactly.
months.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So on the February 11th, we were saying that the shadow of the Mercury retrograde
Yes.
will be there around the 8 degrees
Yeah.
29 minutes, which is late at night again. We will see it on the night
Yeah.
time on the 11th February. So it would be like we will see, I think, the footsteps in a way of Mercury retrograde start feeling what is going to
Yes.
happen in a way. I mean, like we can get, as I like calling it, like the trailers. What is it
Yes.
coming ahead of us? So, and it's interesting that that's the first water sign Mercury retrograde, but whole
Yeah.
year, yeah, we will have all the Mercury retrogrades in order as like later in Cancer and in Scorpio, it would be all in water signs. So it would be quite interesting in the sense, I mean, to see all these retrogrades and not getting out of the borders. It's like staying in that. It's contrary
Yes.
to water, no, that you cannot contain it, but here you contain in a way.
Containing,
So it,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
So just to be clear, in case you're not sure, Mercury retrograde is obviously when it goes backwards from the point of view on Earth. Everyone knows that, but the shadow period is the point that it will retrograde back to. So as
yeah.
Terry was saying, it's very much the trailers. You start getting a little sense of Mercury kind of perhaps not being quite as cooperative as we would like him to be. And yes, very much about the water signs this year, which is interesting, and not crossing over any other signs either. So Mercury is going to be all about our feelings when it's talking about emotions in the water signs this year. Yeah,
Okay.
interesting. And then of course, then on the 14th, we've got a big shift,
Yeah.
which is Saturn moving into Aries. So this is Saturn, our planet of boundaries, can often be a father figure in our charts as well. Um, and it's about structures, groups. It's about not groups, sorry, but structures, and it's about our material world, the reality of our material world, not how we would like it to be, which is much more Neptune, the dreams, how we imagine it. Saturn says no, actually, you know, this is how it is. You know, it gets dark then, it gets light then. These are the parameters in which we work, within which we work. So it's giving us a structure so that we can actually be contained within
Mm-hmm.
something. And in Pisces, it found it very difficult, I think, to put down foundations. You know, water is not naturally very amenable to structures. In Aries, it's got a different problem because in Aries, it's kind of traditionally not very happy. It's exalted in Libra, where it's all about law and thinking, and balance and justice. But in Aries, Aries likes to kind of dash ahead. You know, it's a fiery, go-getting sign, and Saturn's like now sitting there saying, "Well, actually, maybe not. No, wait. Let's see what is the reality of this situation. Can you actually achieve this?"
Yeah.
So this is an interesting conjunction that's coming up here where dreams meet reality in that first degree of Aries. And we'll talk more about that in a minute, but
Yes, exactly.
a cardinal seed point anyway. Mm.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, Saturn is, yeah, is interesting. I always think about it like that. You have something. like sometimes you're a dog owner and then you want to get the dog like taking the to the park, etc., and then the thing, and then that the dog wants to get out of the leash and then start like running, but you have to find a way to restrain that because it cannot just go around. And Saturn is that I mean, you are the person that is trying to restrain because you are saying that no, you cannot go everywhere. And then the other one is like, I have energy, I want to run.
Mm,
Well, what's the big deal? I mean, like let me do whatever I want. And then it's I think in a way there is a kind of a push pull effect. But I
mm,
think at the end of the day, it can be that kind of energetic power that is coming from Aries, if it can be, I mean, like turned into something good work, I think it
hmm.
can be very productive. But
Yes,
if
definitely.
if if Saturn cannot like contain that, then it can be within some. It's like a dilemma that
Hmm.
within yourself, no, that kind of thing, because you want to do this, no, I cannot do that, that kind of self-doubt. There's a fear, one is fear, the other is
Always with
like
Saturn.
courageous, that is bold, that is going, it's like all that kind of polarity within
Hmm.
itself. It's really interesting. I mean, we have to talk
Yes,
to
that
someone
that
with
that
Saturn in Aries, I think, to understand it more.
No, you're absolutely right. The fear and the courage, it's those that balance, isn't it? And of course it's ruled here, dispositive, we could say, by Mars in Aquarius, and it will be as well when it makes a conjunction in a few days. So that as well is important. This Aquarius, what does it mean? About the group, about society. Um, so yes, very interesting. And I was thinking about your dog in the park actually, and I was thinking about creating that dog park, where they actually make parks for dogs and Saturn being maybe the boundaries and the fence where,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
within these boundaries, your dog can go as wild as it likes.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think that's the meeting point that
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
yeah, creating solutions out of sometimes maybe chaos and impatient situations. Yeah, I
yes,
think so.
yes.
I agree.
Putting reasonable boundaries in place. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's always so good to talk with you, Terry. Okay, right. And then, gosh, then we move on to our new moon, which I actually have up somewhere on a separate chart. So let me just
Yeah.
find that. Yeah, because this is the first of our eclipses. Yeah, do you want to kick off for this one, Terry?
Yes, that
Terry.
that there would be a new moon followed by the solar eclipse in Aquarius. First of all, I think it's good to explain that, I mean, the eclipses, I think the higher octave of the moon phases at the end of the day. I mean, like we have the new moon, full moon happening all the time, but the eclipses are happening every 6 months in a time. And there is the nodes are important with the connection with the nodal axis, and which part of the nodes at the end of the day, what is it. And in this case, I think we can say that that's a north node
Mm-hmm.
eclipse that will
Yeah,
be like, it's more like
it's
getting
here.
forward, moving ahead, how do we
Yeah.
move ahead, and that kind of feeling in that sense. And since it's like it's something that could be really important, crucial than a normal new moon. Of course,
Mm,
new moon, we have this all these beginnings, etc. Of course, those seeds that are planted that time are important, but here it's like kind of life changing impact can happen, especially if you have anything around that degree that the eclipse is happening. In this case, it's going to happen in Aquarius 28 56, I think.
and so I think
Uh,
maybe the eclipse. Yeah, the new moon's at
yeah,
49.
this is the one that we have at the moment at the scene. But a few minutes later, like 13 minutes later, there would be the eclipse. And if you have any placements, especially at the last degrees of the Aquarius, and especially Leo, we can always think about Taurus and Scorpio, but mainly I think Aquarius
Mm,
and Leo, we can think about that. It could be something like, um, in a way, really crucial. It's like you are going to start something, especially if it affects things that are more personal, like your energy, your power, your self-expression, your thoughts, or your view of life, which I'm talking about,
hmm
like Mars, Mercury. I mean, like the relationships, Venus or ascendant, if it goes to the angles as well. I mean, like then it can really have a quite impact, because it's like saying that you are getting into a new era in a way, and the impact can go, I mean, like much longer. I mean, maybe at first hand we may not feeling, and since at the end of the sign also we will have this still ending and beginning feeling as well. And also it's fixed sign. At the beginning we may resist actually quite a bit, because if it's something that is not we are used to, I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day we may like have doubts. Should I move this, or should I go forward with this, and should I really start this? Because that, I think, that fixed sign also being at the end of the sign, because that you are there, you are used to the environment.
hmm
Why should I go, why should I go into something new? So we may have doubts, but as the time improves, maybe we will start seeing that, yeah, that this new plan may really be good for me in a certain area of life. So maybe I should go ahead. So in that sense, the impact can go, I think, sometimes up to 3 months,
Yeah,
etc. And then we
definitely.
can see those impacts. I mean, what do you say? I mean, it's like,
Well, they're portals, aren't they? I mean, eclipses. I think you can think of them like that. You know, that they are, as you say, supercharged new moons and full moons, and you step through them into something else, into a new kind of whatever the moon represents, and some kind of new era. And this at the end of the signs, as you were saying, it's very much about kind of new beginnings, but at the same time clearing up old stuff as you go with it. And it's square to Uranus as well, which is important. So it's actually just, excuse me, passed through the square to Uranus. So perhaps there's already been that kind of unexpected challenge, and now you're kind of moving through that to begin something different after the because the Uranus there at 27, the new moon here at 28. um, and so you're moving through to begin something different, but it is a challenge. Yes, it's you're in a fixed sign, so moving it is complicated. But I think it's, you know, the node here is with Venus, which I think is really lovely. So there's elements there of compassion, of moving towards something, um, something positive, really. I mean, you've got Venus in Pisces, you know, that is a positive thing. It's maybe something that you've been dreaming of. Can you move towards it? And that is the challenge there, with this kind of conjunction just kind of coming together as well, talking about the same kinds of things, moving towards, you know, consolidating, if you like, a dream of some kind. There's no guarantees with any of it. But I think it's on the whole a positive thing. Eclipses aren't necessarily bad. And this one with the new moon, they're near the North Node, and with Venus, I think it is looking positive. Yeah, I would like
yeah,
to.
it could be. I mean, I think also Uranus is the one of the eight, at least, co-dispositors according to
Yeah,
modern
yeah, definitely.
astrology as well. So in that sense, I think there is, it could be the case that, I mean, there is this, of course, kind of tension, but if that tension could be uh, broken or like
hmm
solved in a way, I think it can create something really productive and
Mm.
unusual. I mean, it's like a kind of a breakthrough
Yeah,
feeling
and
like that.
yeah, and as you say, they're all connected. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
that Venus is ruling, dispositing Uranus. Uranus, one of the dispositors of the new moon. Yeah, it is absolutely all connected. Definitely.
Yeah, and also I think I have checked that it's really interesting. If I'm not mistaken, this solar eclipse, that lunar gestation cycle, if you go 18 months later,
Hmm.
the the full moon would be a lunar eclipse.
That's
So,
interesting.
so I think if I'm not mistaken, I have to check. If I'm wrong, we will write it in the
Okay,
thing.
well,
But
we'll
I
check
as
and we'll put
a,
that in the blurb, whether
yeah,
Terry's right or not.
in the blur, but I think it is the case that I think 18 months later, somewhere I think probably end of July, August 2027, it would be happening, and there would be a
Okay.
eclipse, eclipse, lunar eclipse. So
Okay, kind of mirroring it. Okay. Mm.
it's like
A full
in a
moon.
way quite. I mean, like you are like starting with a bang and then like coming halfway or like make the combination with another kind of bang. So I think it could be
Hmm.
quite impactful for some of the people. I mean, like as if seeing yourself, I mean, in different areas of life and in different impacts. I mean,
Yeah,
from now, completely maybe somewhere else in 18 months later. That
that's
kind of
really
a thing.
interesting. Yes,
Yeah,
good point. So
yeah.
have a look and see where 28 Aquarius falls in the chart, your chart. That would be interesting.
Yes, exactly, exactly. The people absolutely need to
And
check that.
after that, I think we're going to have, let's come back to this. So we're going to have the Sun moving into Pisces. That'll be the 18th of February. So
Mhm,
let's
mhm.
just move that forward. And as usual, it's not quite there yet. So we'll just put it a bit later in the day.
Mm, detergent,
Yeah, so now we've got the Sun into Pisces, approaching the North Node, approaching all these other planets. Pisces with its themes of, well, we've been saying them off and on for the last few minutes, really. It's imaginative, Pisces. It's a dreamer. It's quite an impersonal sign, actually. It's got its affiliations with the with the 12th house, so it can be about retreat, it can be about, but it can also be about sacrifice and service. So you quite often get doctors, I think, and people who have spent their lives serving a cause with planets in Pisces or the Sun in Pisces. So it's about that too. But it also, of course, has its connections with because it's this search for the numinous, this search for just kind of becoming one with everything. Sometimes it sort of turns into a sort of drug addiction, or it can be to do with alcohol as well. In its less kind of helpful sort of ways that it plays out, but it can be enormously imaginative and creative, and as I think Terry said earlier, poetic. We think about Elizabeth Barrett Browning, she's got all this Pisces in her chart. Romantic, I mean, very
yeah,
romantic, all of it.
yeah, yeah. There is. It's like I think there that it has both this type of. I mean, like there's melancholy and
Yes.
the thing of uh, that nostalgia, etc. At the same time. But at the one hand, I mean, it's like there's something very, I think, reserved about it. I think there is. I mean, Virgo is reserved, but in another way. But I think there is also Pisces. I think is more like I think it's like yes, they are. They could be. I mean, you're a Pisces, son. I'm explaining yourself too, but I mean, they could
It's
be
fine.
like emotional, etc. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure if they are very they are living that whatever they are living inside. I mean, it's like
Hmm.
there is kind of like I go to my corner and then do whatever I like there, and then maybe sometimes go out and then like be myself still. But there is something I think still reserved I don't think so that it's really
I
easy
see.
to understand what
Yes.
is going on. I mean,
Yes.
I have a Pisces, I had a Pisces mother, so I could, I mean, like that you could see that someone disappearing, sudden, not disappearing in the sense that, but it's like I go on a bus and then go disappeared. It's because they like there is this space. You need space. I think the sun in Pisces need that space a lot. You shouldn't be like to them, and then they say, "Okay, I'm done."
I
That's it.
think that's a brilliant description of Pisces, actually, Terry. Yeah, suddenly, yeah, just like sometimes there's just nobody at home. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
when you're in that space, there might not be anybody at home. You've gone somewhere else. And gosh, I have to write everything down. I forget absolutely everything. One minute I'm there in the real world thinking about, yeah, I'm going to go and do that. And then 2 seconds later, I've disappeared somewhere else. And my husband says, "Did you do sense?" I'm like, absolutely not. No way. Must be really
Yeah,
frustrating for people that live with us. I do agree.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
I mean, I like to think it has its charm. Yeah, it's not always easy, but none of the signs are easy, let's be honest. But
yeah.
yes, I think that there
I
is
think the empathy, I think, is beautiful. I mean, it's like
the
trying
empathy
to
is real.
trying to embrace everyone and trying to understand. I mean, like what the other side is trying to feel. I think it's challenging for the Pisces, maybe, but it's beautiful for the other people who are being embraced by them. I mean, because it's like sometimes you just you can be tired of trying to that with that
Yeah.
empathy as well. I mean,
I mean, it is an axis of service, isn't it? The Pisces Virgo, and there it's very much loaded now in this chart towards the Pisces M, which is about this kind of empathy and sacrifice. And there's nothing very practical about it apart from that South Node in Virgo. Yeah, so I mean that the lack of Earth in this chart at the moment is notable, and the lack of sort of looking for practical solutions, really.
yeah,
Um,
yes,
yeah, I think it's just that impersonal sense that you get with Pisces is very actually very real, and worth noting because it's not always um, it's not always talked about, I don't think. Yeah, so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
good point. And so then we come on to yeah, our famous conjunction.
So, so,
Here's a
great
chart I prepared
conjunction.
earlier.
Great
And here we are.
conjunction. Yeah,
The great
yeah. It's
conjunction.
yes,
Exactly.
0045 degrees of Aries.
Absolutely. So this is the moment, yeah, at well, I'm in France, but that's sort of so it's going to be 7 minutes to 7 minutes to 5 on the 20th of February. But it's a seed moment, isn't it? I mean, with all these conjunctions and things, we always expect something to kind of happen at that particular second. And of course it might do, especially if you do have planets or angles around that 0 point of any of those cardinal signs, really. But it's also a new seed moment, and that's how it's most important, I think. We talk about
Yeah,
this, don't we?
yeah. I think there is something quite raw.
Raw.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
about
okay.
it.
Good
Yeah,
thought. Mm.
and it's also it's like most of the starts. I mean, there is something kind of limbo because you are
Yes.
starting something you don't know. I mean, and it's like there is a I don't know if there is that saying in English, but that you are like a fish that is just out of the water, and they are just out of the water. So that fish, can you imagine that?
Mm.
Like they are just out of the water, and it's like, where am I? What is going on? And I think that's what the Saturn and Neptune re-entering into Aries is like this, and then
Yes.
hitting the fire. It's like what is going on, and it's I think for the life, I mean, different areas of life in our charts, I mean, in our lives, at the end of the day we can have that feeling because we were all this in our dreams, in our ideals, in the
Mm.
way that we structure things. We were more in a like more fluid stage before, no,
Yes.
before this conjunction. And then
Yeah.
we were like, as we were talking about Pisces, we were more like that spirituality, that compassion, and everything
Mm.
was going on. And now we say that, okay, but where am I standing in this thing?
Yeah.
Where is
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
role? I mean, Aries is like, it's me. What is going on? I mean, it's like get the things out of your head and then come to yourself here. I think that's a quite feeling like that. I mean, that it's like you are going to factory settings back to the,
Yes.
you know.
That's a great description. I need to write that down. Yeah. Yeah, return to factory settings. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Um, and so to break it down a little bit, so Aries, we have youth, we have the hero archetype, the self-assertion, the identity, that it's young, it's vibrant, it's me, it's energetic. And then we've got the Neptune, which rules Pisces, of course, co-ruler. What do we dream? What do we dream now? It's an era. It's an outer planet. It's giving us clues as to what the next sort of 14 years is going to be about, the zeitgeist, if you like.
hmm
Um, and it's dreaming about action, authenticity. I mean, possibly war. But Saturn's there to put the brakes on it. So I think we're quite lucky really with that conjunction, that Saturn is kind of defining perimeters and saying fine, but we need to put some boundaries around this. We need to make sure that it's contained, that that we're working within this material reality. We can't have everything we dream of as individuals. Um,
yeah,
so we need to just work out what we can have, and yeah, and go forward with that, I think. And of course, ruled, and it's always important, the rule of the dispositor when you get an ingress like this or a conjunction by that Mars in Aquarius. So that's quite structured, but it's also about breaking down structures. It's connected to Uranus in Taurus. It's about land, it's about our bodies, it's about our planet as well, very much, I think. What are we doing with it?
yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, it's like, I think it's like it's a quite um contradictory again within itself, like the Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. I think it's like that. It's good, as you said. I mean, that Saturn is like putting boundaries to no boundaries, because yeah,
Yeah.
what is the limit? Sky is the limit. No, no, Poseidon. Sorry for you. I mean, it won't be like that. I think Saturn is saying so. That I think in that sense, Saturn's authority in the end would probably work a lot. And I think
Mhm.
in on individual sense, I mean, at the end of the day, is Aries is like the, I think, courageous. It's quite bold. I mean, I think there are things that we didn't have the courage in the past to build, the ideals
That's
that
nice. Yeah.
to build the, that sometimes we try to realize some of our
Yes.
dreams, no realizations of dreams at the end of the day, Saturn, Neptune. And we could be quite, I think, bold about it. I mean,
Hmm.
like, of course there is frustration comes if they don't come true, because there could be like, we could get impatient at the end of the day, but I think it can go give that at the end of the day, that uh, being driven being driven to
Driven. Yeah.
maybe to make those dreams come true, and get into a maybe a good ground at the end of the day. I think we can think about it as well like that, only that we have to make sure that we are a bit we try to be more patient. I think with Saturn, I think that could be in a way provided, because I mean, if we are patient, I think
Mm.
with that courage, etc., and with that all that driven and being driven, and also being, I mean, like enthusiastic to move
Hmm.
forward. I mean, like this, taking that steps. I think it could be wonderful. I mean, in that sense, and I think all this period Mars, whatever Mars moves into, that will have impact slowly every 2 months nearly
That's true.
on
Yeah.
Saturn and Neptune. And the other
Yeah.
day I was also thinking about it when we think about the decans.
Hmm.
Zero, I mean, first 10 degrees would be Mars, would be
Okay.
the ruler. So we will have really this Mars energy like for Saturn, maybe for 7 8 months, because it only has a 2 2.5 years. But
Yeah.
for Neptune it would be, we will be talking about nearly 3 4 5 years. I mean, we can have this impact of Mars in Aries feeling. Move forward.
Yes, yes, that's all interesting actually. Yes, so watching how Mars moves around the chart to see how that's actually impacting kind of how that conjunction plays out in a sense. And I do think there's something else here as well, actually, that I really like what you said about having the courage, which is Mars, of course, to build Saturn, our dreams, which is Neptune. Um, and but also this whole thing about individual choices as well with Aries, especially that first degree of Aries, that really sort of almost unstable but very pure degree of Aries. And I think this is telling us too that our individual choices are very important here within the group, which is Mars in Aquarius. So it's no point kind of, it's about taking responsibility, isn't it? Which is always very Saturn as well. Taking responsibility for what we do and what we build. Not just kind of say, oh, well, you know, they're doing that over there. But it's that whole, there's been that thing on Instagram, you know, this happened and I sat home watching telly or whatever, and this happened and I, you know, I didn't go out and stand up and be counted. And this, I think, is about going outside and standing up and being counted. And it doesn't mean that you need to be part of some major demonstration, although maybe you do if that's, you know, something that's happening where you're living. It's your choice, of course. But I think it does mean that you do have to think about how you're acting and understand that you have a role in creating what happens with this conjunction as well.
Yeah.
It's not just about things happening from the outside.
No, no, exactly, exactly. I think that's important. I mean, like, it's also, I think there is this sense of, I mean, you are with the Saturn transits, it's like there is this, you are maturing yourself up in
Mm.
some parts. I mean, like, right? I mean, because sometimes, like, our age doesn't mean the doesn't come with maturity with in every sense. I mean, like, yeah. So in that sense, I mean, like that sometimes uh, the things happening or the impact or whatever is unfolding in our lives and the way that we behave, I think, in a way, um, brings consequences, and then
Yeah.
those consequences, I think, in a way, mature ourselves up. I don't like to use lesson with Saturn, but it's like there's a teaching. That's a teacher as well. I mean, it's the like the grand teacher. I mean, so at the end of the day, we live stuff and we go through things. It could be about our personal
Hmm.
choices and individual moves. And at the end of the day, we learn things. It's the experience and everything. And in the end, we mature ourselves up in a certain
Yeah,
area
we
of life.
become wiser. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Become more mature, definitely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And I think as well that you know when something moves away from that final degree of Pisces, the end of the zodiac into the new thing, and we talk about new starts, it's a new start, but it also encompasses everything that's gone before. So it's a spiral in a sense. I was thinking about this when I was writing about it, very much a spiral. So you need to discard things to, it's like the new moon, you know, something has to be left behind in order to make that step forward. But you don't discard the things that you know are going to be useful. You discard all that stuff in the cupboard that you haven't used for 50 years, but you're still keeping there for some reason. You know, and that can be mental stuff or physical stuff or whatever it is. But when you take that step forward into this new beginning, then you are taking some of the key points with you, the things that you know are worth taking. and you have to choose those carefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Phew, gosh, heavy stuff. Okay. Well,
Now we can go to Mercury
yeah, I
retrograde.
mean, there's lots and lots on the internet about that, but I think what we've said has encapsulated it really. I mean, if you want the history and everything of that conjunction, then it's definitely out there on the internet. But I mean, that's not what we're doing here. So we're going to move on to Mercury retrograde, which happens on the 26th,
Yes,
yeah, of February. And what's the degree there, Terry? Let me just remember.
22 degrees, 33 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah, we
so
are there. We
yeah,
see
we're there.
red,
Yeah.
red
So it
there.
happened
Yeah,
a couple of hours before.
yeah. Mercury in Pisces retrograde.
So this going back over our feelings, yeah, rethinking it
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's all about like, I mean, it's a reflection period. I mean, like contemplating
Mm.
about all those maybe some compassionate ideas that we had, or the way that we communicate. I mean, like we
Hmm.
maybe sometimes it's like, was I too soft? Was I too understanding? You
Always.
know, I mean, it could be the case. I mean, like that. When I was maybe it's sometimes that since we try to like, I mean, include the ideas of other people and then not hurting and like being nice, etc. Sometimes your message is not relayed well. No, I think it could be the case with Mercury in Pisces because you are trying to be kind, you are trying to be nice, and I'm telling you like this. Actually, it's like you are doing it wrong, but I'm like going circling around saying that, and then I'm reflecting that, oh, my message is not relayed because I'm like I was just going around to be nice. Maybe I this time after the retrograde period I try again, I become less nice, not rude, but be more maybe direct, not circle around, and give the message in a right way. I think it could be one of the things. In a way, I think it comes to my mind. I'm like not to maybe to be too compassionate, to be too understanding. I think sometimes
Okay.
it
Yeah.
is it is nice, but at the same time it can harm you as well. So in a way
Yeah.
you have to protect your self and your own area as well. I mean, in that sense, I think it could be good contemplation about that. I think Mercury in Pisces, I mean, like how we also how we express our feelings. I mean, could
Yeah.
be
Well,
literally.
definitely. Yeah, definitely how we express our feelings and connected to our values, of course, with Venus there. And the sun's still with the North Node, so it's about how we do that sort of moving forward as well. Um, and I mean also, of course, just to mention all the kind of classic Mercury retrograde things, which are to do with, travel, not a great day to travel. Unfortunately, I do seem to be traveling on that day yet again. How did I do that? Um, okay, oh, if only I was an astrologer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just how it's worked out, unfortunately. And yeah, maybe old friends coming back into your life. That sometimes happens on the Mercury retrograde. I mean, Chris Brennan's favorite word, snafu, the
Yeah.
the
Yeah, there can
technical
be.
things that
Yeah.
kind of go wrong, and maybe that's in water this time as well, or as if we haven't had enough technical things going wrong in water in the country
Eh,
in general. Um,
yeah.
but yes, it's
Yeah.
definitely this time for rethinking. And
Yeah.
don't sign any contracts preferably until it's back out of its shadow period, which is going to be March time. Hmm.
Yeah, that yeah, it could be. I mean, it's like that there could be confusion in the way that
Yeah,
things. I mean, when we are
that's true.
emailing or that kind of thing, I think we should be like normally if you check 3 times, this time check 10 times. I mean, what you wrote.
Yes.
typos or wrong expressions, etc., which normally happens with me in any case. So I mean, for me, it's like would be quite probably chaotic. But at the end of the day, the dispositor is Jupiter, one of them at least. I mean, is still in Cancer. It would be still retrograde, by the way. I can see that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
until the 11th of March.
it should be, I think, fine on that. Yeah, we should see it as a period of also kind of a rest. I mean, right? It's like we shouldn't rush things at the
I
end
think
of the
that's
day.
a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we have to, I mean, like, think well when we are moving forward with something. And sometimes our minds need a rest.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
resting is a good plan.
yeah.
Just kind of it's a retreat almost, isn't it? Just kind of going to a space and just sort of thinking things through. And I mean, this is very watery, this point at which Mercury goes retrograde with the Sun is here in Cancer with Jupiter, which as you say is a co-ruler of that Mercury.
I mean, it's
Um,
like meditative something. I mean, it could be a good period for people to go into meditation or retreats or something like that. Or like, I mean, like that since we should be like much slower or much patient
mm,
and prudent the way that they think. Sometimes maybe it's like there is water, like like pour your thoughts, etc., everything into the water. I mean, sometimes you just
mm.
stand by the seaside or the riverside and etc. You just look at the water, and then I think that's a kind of a meditation, and I think it's a good way of I think getting your head together again and then turn back to normal life. So I think
A sort of
it's
healing
nice.
period.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, exactly, exactly.
yeah, I can see that. Yep. And then there was just one more thing we wanted to mention, which unfortunately, I would just to say actually, Mercury goes direct on the 20th of March, so that's the beginning of a kind of 3 week period there where it trots back through Pisces. And then unfortunately, it's followed by this kind of quite harsh square between Mars and Uranus. Um, yeah, which is a bit of a shame actually. I mean, Mars Uranus, it can be quite shocking, really. I mean, Mars there is connected to Uranus because it's still in Aquarius, so it's ruled, disposited by Uranus. Um, and we've got Venus in Pisces, which is the dispositor of Uranus in Taurus. But still, it's not an easy square. This is a challenge again, and it's going to be connected maybe to this Neptune and Saturn because of the Mars. I think it's a little bit complicated this. I mean the moon is still in Cancer, which making that actually lovely trine there to I mean that'll be brief, but it's making a lovely trine to that Venus and Mercury conjunction there. But yeah, there's something challenging, maybe challenging about the outside world there as you're in your kind of cocoon. I don't know, but how's it actually all working out in the real world? How does that feel to you? That's interesting, I think, that
I mean,
challenge.
in the end, I think that Uranus, whatever changes in a way,
Yeah.
kind of structural changes is going forward in a certain area of life. I mean, maybe we would like to go with that plan,
Mm-hmm.
fixed sign at the end of the day.
Mm.
But on the other hand, we have this Mars energy. I mean, that would like to move forward, take steps, and being that putting your courage. And also, I mean, like what you want to fight for. I mean,
Yes,
no,
what you
it's
want
like
to fight for,
it's for.
absolutely.
I mean, it's like your warrior spirit that is contained in the
Mm-hmm.
Mars, and what you want to fight for is like what you try to, I mean, sustain. They might not be in line with each other. I mean, like they would
Mm.
like to be clashing. It's like, I will do the gardening today, but at the same time, I would like to volunteer at the, I don't know, charity shop. I don't know. It's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
something
It
like that.
could
I
be
mean,
something as simple and pragmatic as that.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
it could be something like that, and it's like that you want to be together with the nature, etc., and then take all that thing, and then maybe spend more time in your, I mean, garden or whatever, and then planting, blah blah, and then you go like it's like but I'm too enthusiastic about going and then making something for the society, which is working at the
Yeah.
charity shop. I mean, that's a very simplified version, but it could be kind of a clash. Then what do you do? I mean, like you do a bit of gardening and bit of volunteering so that you could be maybe productive, maybe not 100%, but half at least to get yourself out of that conflict completely. Maybe
I think it's
something like that.
really good actually that you brought it down to that level because astrology does work on that level. Absolutely. It's okay. I want to do this and I want to do that. Okay, how am I actually going to resolve those things? And it's not always this great big issue, but sometimes something quite simple like that. And how you resolve it, of course, um, will in some sense have consequences. So it always moves forward like that. So these challenges, they're part of the fabric, the tapestry that make up our lives and the choices that we make as we move through them. And I think that's important to remember. There's no question though that this end of the month here, I think, is an emotional time too. I mean, all this water and which is really nice. So we'll see how that pans out, I think.
Yeah, exactly. We need the earth. We need something
We do need some
grounding. So,
earth, don't we?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well,
That making things more practical rather than
yeah.
it's like run, move forward. Let's do this. Let's do that. Or like this didn't work. Let's change it around, etc. So I think we need something that will keep our
Something
feet
that holds it to the ground,
on
yes.
the ground. Yes,
Mm.
exactly. I think it could be nice. It could be nice.
Well, we may have to wait a bit for that. I mean, the moon will move into Virgo in a few days, but yeah, I mean, before those planets it's going to be a few weeks, isn't it, before those planets get into Taurus. So we'll see
Uh,
how that goes.
yes, I mean that. Yeah, it will take some time. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that will take time. Yeah, that will take time, but we'll get there. We'll
we
get
will
there.
get there, and we
Yeah,
always do. So that's also
yeah,
worth
exactly.
remembering that these things, time passes essentially, and
Yeah,
this too
exactly.
will pass. These things will move on. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So this is where I'm going to stop the share, Terry,
Yeah,
and here we are.
yeah. Here we
Wow, what a
are. Yeah.
month! Gosh,
What
I'm
about?
interested to see where we are by the other end of it. Goodness, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's a full month, lots of changes and things to consider, reconsider, and all of those things. But we will have something lovely in the middle of the this month, right? We will have another guest for the astrology and
Oh,
beyond
yes,
interview series. I caught my surprise, and and also it would be kind of a Valentine's
yes.
presence for the people who are in a way celebrating that Saint Valentine's Day, which would be we would have who else?
It's Margaret Gray, yes, from the
Yeah,
Centre for Relationships and Astrology, which is, I hope I said that right. And I mean, she's absolutely lovely. I'm really looking forward to talking to her.
yeah, it's the same
She's so
for me. I mean,
nice.
like, yeah, from our messaging and everything, I think you also talk to her in person.
Yeah,
I think she has a real positive energy that is passing through, and I'm sure that through
absolutely.
our interview, we will see that, and then you will be able to also watch and learn more about Margaret Gray and
Yeah.
her astrology and her counseling, all the journey, etc. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah,
I mean, for
definitely.
yeah, for that. Yeah. So thank you very much. It was
Thank
again
you.
lovely brainstorming with you. So, so I think
Okay.
we will see you next month again. For the
Yeah.
moment, it's like that. If I mean there is anything, I mean the people can always leave us comments, and if you see the, I think that's important. I mean like that we are talking about things. Of course, we don't see any individual charts. We are talking about what we see in the sky, how the things
Yeah,
can happen.
of
But
course.
if things impact your chart in a way, or you see any signs or anything like that, it's always good to, if you would like to share, we are happy to read your comments and also answer you as much as we could. And yeah, all the best. I think
Yeah.
that would be a full on month. Hope to see you in the astrology and beyond, and after that for the March recording. Yeah,
Yes.
bye bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching or listening.
Yeah.